Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's July 24th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and another rally today. Another two-tiered. I'm sorry, two-legged move up again. I think these might be all-time highs again. If not, they're real close. Your first leg up, you can see, was right there, and then we started back up right about here, and you can see we really got basically a perfect measured move. And it just doesn't get any better than that looking for a target. So that's how we do it. When we're looking for targets, we find these legs, and generally you're going to get a measured move if it's going to be a regular move up. So uh, anyway, when we 7 o'clock hour came right at the tail end of this little real tight channel here, and originally I had this way up here. Um, I ended up moving it down where these last closes were right across here is where it should have been. Um, anyway, 7 o'clock came right across here, and you just don't want to enter in that. We finally got a failed break higher here. Uh, Fairly bearish bar. It's an inside bar though, but generally when you break out of that, you can expect prices to come back down, and you may get another leg down like this right here, starting from right there. Didn't turn out that way, but it still was a fairly easy scalp. And of course, then we start bouncing across here, and you finally get a second entry long right here with a small bar right at the very low of the support. That's the way you have to enter this. You either have to enter real close to the short real close off this resistance, or long real close off this support. And so you get a chance. You actually the second entry is right here, and it failed and came back. I don't know if I would enter again here, because you would expect that to take off, and when it didn't. But notice how it couldn't break any lower again right across there if you move that down. I mean, we tested that. That is a double test there, a bullish bar. The only problem is you got congestion again there. You got resistance right here. We did break out previously already, so that might have cleared some of that out, and you can see it did. It just slid it to shoot right on through. I still think it's a little bit risky to enter right there again in that congestion, but there's a lot of reasons like that. This is also a double test. Notice you made that low, tested it once, twice. But you could also look at that as a double test, more than a multiple test, really. The more times you test it, the better it is. But the double test is what we want to start with, and that's a pretty good trade right there. If you catch if you catch either one of these and you stay in it, you're going to catch a runner, and you could just ride this all the way up. And I wouldn't exit this until we got a bearish bar outside and a break below it. So that would be you could have ridden this all the way up to here. Actually, when you got this big overshoot right here, I probably would have exited. When you got this big down bar, I probably would have just exited right there, and that would have been a nice little move right there, and you could have been done for the day. Uh, and notice too that this move up, that this correction was close to about 50% back, and that's where if you usually somewhere between 50 and 70% correction coming back into a previous move up is where, if you bounce, that's where you may get a measure leg. So watch for those areas. If you don't go test the original low again, there's a good chance you may get another leg up. And if you go read, if you're one member of our premium section, you can read my um, my early market chart that I update. What I said there and talked about. If this comes back 50 to 70% and reverses and goes higher, you can probably look at a measured leg, and that's exactly what we got so far. And that's just common in this market. So anyway, market moves on up. This is a little risky here. It's the first pullback, but you can see that's a very strong move, and it's like a spike in a little real tight channel. So we may continue to go all the way back up to the eye. So you may enter there. It's a little risky. I'd rather see it back to the EMA. But if you got a trend line and a real strong trend like that, you're probably not going to get anything better than that. So, but of course it runs up here, comes back, makes a first entry, pulls back, and you get a second entry long here. This is really your signal bar. But when it broke higher here with that little small bar not being very far from the lows, actually your signal bar is really this bar, and so your stop has to go below that. But I wouldn't have a problem entering one tick above that. I mean, it's only There's only 3 ticks in that bar, so it might be a 5 tick. That's, it's very low risk, and we did push right on through that resistance up there. So there's a good chance we're going to make a new high on a move like that up, and that's really, I'd call that really your first close outside convincing, and so we're probably going to try to make a new high. So I like entering there. Of course, it ends up just kind of chopping around, but notice you made a new swing low right there. It's lower than that one, and so you try to go, you actually get a failed second entry short right there, so really you could have entered there too. I was a little afraid of that one, but when it tried to go lower again, um, I figured you got people trapped here, especially when you had a lower high and a lower high and it's breaking lower. But I definitely wouldn't be going short into that EMA like that when you've been trending up and you went through so easily there. I would look for a possible another move leg up like this to begin with. Um, at the very least, I'd look for one like this from the next low. But I like going long right there. You could have considered entering right there because there is a failed second entry short, and it is a second entry long because you made a high here that's higher than that one. So first entry, second entry. So you could argue for that one, but it's more of an inside bar, and so I'm not as crazy about it. And that's a little bigger bar. This one is an inside bar too, but it's only a few ticks and it's so close to the low. It's a little bit different there. But inside bars, I don't like them as much because they're just very unpredictable. They'll fail you a lot more often than if this was if this was a lone bar and it wasn't inside this bar to the left of it. Um, But anyway, you get another chance right here, and that's the better entry, and you can see the smarter traders probably waited on that. Once it failed to go lower again, couldn't close below that EMA, they jumped on board, and off it goes. So now you got a break and 2 legs up to a new high, and you got a sell off. You do have a trend line working down through here, but it never really gets confirmed. You could actually argue for this being a confirmation, but you don't get a very good signal bar. And so finally you make a low, first entry, and then you get a second entry short when it breaks lower right here. Again, this is similar to this over here. It's just a very bearish bar, very small, but your stop still has to go, your safety stop still has to go 1 tick above these highs right here. And you're just looking for prices to, if your trend line's right and you've read this right, then you're probably going to drop down and touch that. And that's what happens. And then we finally come back right here and you actually get a second entry long, but again, it's just an up down bar. This actually confirmed the trend line, but I don't like that signal bar. Same thing here. I'm not crazy about it, and it's looking really congestive right there. Notice that resistance across there. That was the close, overnight close for yesterday. And so, but when it comes back again and makes a higher low on a breakout pullback, I like entering right there. And this was the best entry because now you got a failed second entry short, and that was the better entry. And it actually makes one more little pullback here, but I'm not crazy about that. This time, at that point, I would have had this line a little higher, and you might have still left it up there. I moved it back down because it did seem to be coming back into play right here. So, but technically this really should probably be up here. And should be this little line running across here. We'll just get rid of that one and put this one there. And so it runs up, and of course we run into that resistance and we can't get through it. We're not really backing off of it, but we can't get through it. And you got to be real careful here. You don't want to go long into that. You want to see prices push through and pull back and test it, which they did right here. And look how bullish that bar is, and it is off of this short-term trend line that I drew off these first 2 swings, and it confirms it right there. And that's a nice bullish bar. I like that setup. It is right into the high of the day, but really it broke lower first and went out the other side. So I like going long 1 tick above the bearish bar right there. And that would have been another nice move. You could have caught a runner there too. It actually pulls back right here and gives you a failed second entry short. I'm not as crazy about it because we've already traded back up to the high again, and there's a good chance it could break higher and come back down to the EMA or even this trend line. But it is a failed second entry short. It's probably going to trap some people, so you may go long right there. And that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. But a nice trend up today. Got a little iffy in here, but that's what usually happens. You'll make this first leg, which is from here to here, and then you'll correct a little bit, and then you'll make that next leg. And you can see we're testing those highs one more time. We haven't quite gotten back up to what looks like the upper side. Maybe it's not really up there. Maybe it's right here because that does seem to fit better right there. So that may be where it is. We may not ever get much higher. But again, if you measure this first leg from here to the high point, and then here's your correction, and then take that over and measure from there, it gives you this target right here to the tick that we've made so far. So that gives you a great target to look for on the way up. And there's actually a midline in here, and with that target being up there and this being a real strong trend, notice how it's going straight up, very shallow corrections, and very lots of stems and stuff. We talk about that, and you can see that midline running right up through there. You could have technically considered trading any of those pullbacks to that midline, especially like failed second entries and stuff like that, with your target being way up here. I mean, your target was basically where that double top is now. Triple top looks like it could be any minute, but that would have been your target. And you might have wanted to play one of these plays off the midline. It's a possibility. So keep that in mind too. Anyway, that was it for today. So we're going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. So far, it's been a decent trading week. Hopefully, we'll get another good day tomorrow. I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.